Driving to Clean Air. That's the title of a new report from the American Lung Association. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. With us is Will Barrett, National Senior Director of Advocacy, Clean Air for the American Lung Association, and Driving to Clean Air report author. Thank you for taking the time, Will.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate the interest in our work.
Well, this is a newly released report, and it's focused on the health benefits of electric vehicles, zero-emission cars, and non-combustion electricity generation. What have you found here?
Well, what we found in this report, Driving to Clean Air, is really that there are major public health benefits to be gained by cleaning the air through stronger standards and moving the national fleet of passenger vehicles to zero emission. We found that by moving all new vehicle sales to zero emission by 2035 and partnering that with clean non-combustion energy sources, we could save tens of thousands of lives, avoid millions of asthma attacks and lost work days because the air will be that much cleaner. And by 2050, we found over 900 billion in public health benefits possible across the nation.
And you break this down, the benefits state by state in the report as well.
That's right. We really wanted to be able to tell the story that not only is a national transition important, but there are significant public health benefits on the table if states take actions to help to facilitate this transition more quickly. And at this time, 7 states have already adopted policies to set a standard for 100% of zero emission vehicle sales by 2035. So we know that these states are, poised now to start seeing the benefits of more and more zero emission vehicles coming to their state, and these health benefits really coming to fruition.
So what actions are you calling for at these various levels?
Well, at the national level, we really are calling on the US EPA to set the strongest possible standards, or greenhouse gas emission standards, for passenger vehicles out to 2035. Their proposal right now is a great start out to 2032. We think it can be stronger and really help to accelerate the transition to cleaner combustion engines, but also that spur that transition to zero emissions. At the state level, again, the states have the capacity to adopt the what's called the Advanced Clean Cars 2 program, and this sets that pathway to 100% sales at the state level by 2035. And again, California was the first state to adopt that. 6 other states have followed just in the last year, and more states are poised to adopt that program this year. So there's a growing list of states taking advantage of their Clean Air Act authority to protect health, more than federal standards do. And then finally, at the local, state, and federal levels, we want to make sure that we're eliminating barriers to access to the health benefits of zero emission technologies, and also taking advantage of the major investments that have been made by the Federal Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act to really accelerate that transition, both in terms of consumer incentive programs, but also the infrastructure needed to fuel zero-emission vehicles.
Like it or not, some of these issues are divisive politically. What are your thoughts about that? And I guess they shouldn't be, right?
Well, one of the key things that we're trying to get across here is that while there are major public health benefits to be had through this transition over the decades, and again, it is over the decades, it's not an immediate transition happening right now. It's going to roll in over time and create major clean air benefits. The reason that's so important is that today, 120 million Americans continue to live in communities with unhealthy levels of air pollution. And we know that there are major disparities in pollution burden affecting lower income communities and people of color. We also know that climate change is making the job of keeping that clean air progress on track. So climate change is essentially making the job of keeping our air clean much more difficult. Just today, we're talking earlier about, unfortunately, the scope of the wildfire smoke pouring into the U.S. from Canadian fires. Often we're seeing, Western U.S. fires drifting, smoke across the country. We're seeing the effects of wildfires, a clear symptom of climate change, impacting air quality for millions and millions of people. So again, the baseline we're dealing with and trying to account for is the fact that transportation pollution is the leading source of climate pollution in the nation, but also it's a major source of harmful air pollution.
And you're linking the transition to electric vehicles in particular, I suppose, to non-combustion electricity generation. Very deliberate here, and tell us the thinking behind it.
Sure. Well, President Biden had proposed a decarbonization of the power grid by 2035. So we took that metric and modeled a national power grid essentially as a non-combustion power grid. So relying on wind and solar and battery storage and those types of technologies that don't emit anything. And so when we do that, we're cleaning up the entire system. We're saying the grid will be cleaner, the passenger vehicle fleet will be cleaner, and they need to move forward together. We need, the cleanup of both the fuel sources and the vehicles on the road to really get a comprehensive cleanup of the air. And, again, that will result in major public health benefits.
And in the eyes of many, that could include the next generation of nuclear power plants as well, or does that fit into that category?
Well, I think, there are many options on the table. What we modeled was more the concept of non-combustion technology. So to the extent that there are, new strategies, new innovations in that field, we'd certainly want to look at that. I wouldn't say that we specifically modeled new nuke plants, for example.
Right. Is the shift to electric vehicles still beneficial without this massive shift to how electricity for charging is generated?
Well, it's clear that we need to make both the energy side or the electricity generation side cleaner over time, as well as the vehicle fleet. And to answer the question, yes, there are significant benefits to the shift on-road shift from combustion to zero emission. That benefit simply grows and grows and grows as we have more renewables on the grid. And also taking advantage of the renewables on the grid when we're charging vehicles at the peak or off-peak times when we're using more renewables. So again, the system-wide approach that we took in this study was really to illustrate the need for both sides of the equation to move forward. And we also accounted for the fact that through this transition we'll be protecting health not only at the tailpipe, but also at where fossil fuel power plants are, refineries, the oil and gas infrastructure systems across the country. Those will significantly reduce local harms, right, as we make these transitions. So I think that what we've really tried to do is highlight the fact that burning fuels, whether at the power plant or at the tailpipe, is harming health today, and that's what we really need to address.
Is there a place people can go to get more information about the report?
Yes, absolutely. The report will be available at lung.org/EV for electric vehicles, so lung.org/EV, and plenty of information there about this report and past reports that we've done in this, in this field, including one last fall on the health benefits of transitioning to zero emission trucking in the counties across the country that have the very heavy truck routes.
Well, congratulations on the work that you are doing. Will Barrett, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, and really appreciate the interest in the report.